Hello and welcome to another Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer battle. Today we're again on Bleakdale and I brought again my dual cast Beastman build together with an Skaven ally against two very more elite builds of Lizardmen and Dark Elves. So we'll go over to their deployment. They brought one death pack, the Dark Elves, and 3 troops of Blackguard of Nagarond. Malekith on his on a cold one, not his cold one. I think it's a generic one, and the Sorceress of Fire also on a cold one, as well as 2 units of cold 1 chariots. And that's it for the Dark Elf army. For the Lizardman army, we have 4 units of Soros warriors, 2 with spears, 2 with basic clubs, I think, or whatever they are called. Yeah, I think they are obsidian clubs. And 3 troops of chameleon skinks, as well as a revivification crystal, Skink Priest of Heaven, and Croc Gar on foot, as well as 2 Stegadons. Yeah, 2 Stegadons, not ancient Stegadons. So for my ally, we have a front line of 3 Skaven slaves and 3 clanrats with shields. They all have shields? Yeah, they do. 2 troops of clanrats with spears and shields on the flank, and here an additional 2 units of clanrats with spears and shields. Then 2 pieces of artillery, the warp lightning cannon and the plague claw catapult, not the doom diver catapult, that's an orcish thing. And 2 troops of plague monks, as well as 2 troops of poison wind globadiers, a good pick against lizardmen, since they mostly bring dinos, as well as a hell pit abomination. And deployed all here in the forest, right close to the front line of my army, we have 2 Skaven assassins as well as a Gracier of the Plague Lore. For my deployment, I have 2 units of Goreherds with dual weapons here deployed on the flank, just to counter any, well, artillery that might be directed at me. That's also, or ranged troops, just to have some flanking forces, unexpected flanking forces to say. I was kinda fearing a lot of ranged units from the Dark Elves. They would have been really devastating for my Bestigors, so I also brought 4 units of Bestigors, 2 units of Goreherds, again with dual weapons on the flanks, and 4 units of Angora Spearmen with shields on the front line. And then a Bray Shaman of Wild, as well as Malagor the Dark Omen with all his items. They both have only 1 spell, the Wild Hide, I think, was it called? Is that what it's called? I'm not sure though. And 2 troops of Minotaurs, 1 with great weapons, 1 with dual weapons, just to kill some dinos. Yeah, and with that, let's start the battle. As you can see, I kinda start moving my troops, seeing that the enemy probably has no real flanking cav, but moving it back as I saw that my ally wasn't really moving with me, and I did not want to engage a Dark Elf and a Lizardman player at the same time. At this point, my 2 units here are still hidden. Here we have a bit of artillery fire into the I forget to mention that they are Black Ark Corsairs with dual weapons without handbows, so yeah, that's the thing. While the warp lightning cannon tries to snipe this Stegadon, but it's kinda positioned right behind a tree. That's also why some of its shot may be missing, I'm not sure. But still, it gets some good hits in. And at this point, the enemy kind of moves here, since my ally starts to move up, and I'm also starting to move up as well, giving my Bestigor, Angor Gore herds here in the forest a little order to march up. Since it seemed to me like my enemy was focusing on my ally here. Beautiful battle in water, lowering their stats all along. The good thing is the Lizardman player didn't bring skinks for me, I think, because they fight a bit better in water, which this map has a lot of. That's also why I didn't want to play deploy on this big open field, because here is a giant, well, swamp, the lake whatsoever. I wasn't really fond of, well, using it. At this point I cycle around and try to flank the enemy player here, but the Lizardman player sends in some Soros warriors. I also send in some Bestigors here to flank the Blackguard of Angor, to flank the Blackguard of Nagaron, just to hold them in place for my Bestigors to come in later. There was a wildcat. Yeah, the reds aren't really especially efficient against Blackguard for theirs. But the catapult is doing his work. At this point I have my Minotaur set on the Revocation Crystal. Because if you keep that thing alive, it can shift the tides of battle for the longer run, and my whole build is kind of focused on fighting for a long time and winning the long run of the battle. We have some the dreaded 13 spell going down. These are the Stormwind which are summoned by that. And at this point the front line is pretty much scattered, and some Cold One chariots going into the artillery, which isn't really their ideal target if they charge them from the front, since the catapult models really block the charge of them. But at this point the murderous prowess starts. I have a little wildcat going down here. And just a little information why I'm using the wildcat and thing. As you can see, the enemy is tired already, basically on, well, most of its units, while my units are either active or still winded. Yes, I came in a little bit late to the fight, but the constant wildcat spells and the passive of the Lore of Wild keep my unit fresh through the whole battle. Yeah. At this point, back here, we have some reds fighting Blackguard Corsairus, which does not look too good to them, but they have the support of Poison Wind Globadiers, so they might work something out. Here the Death Hag is kinda stuck in a group of Plague Monks. I'm not sure how this will play out. Well, my Minotaurs have been dealt with by these Chameleon Kings, which were managed well and brought into parts and were shooting down my Minotaurs. Since Chameleon Kings, especially in water, have a pretty good defensive stat for ranged troops. But Gore herds are way more effective against them, since they are offensive focused. Once they're in melee, they work quite well. But you have to remember they are poisoned. At this point I send my Minotaurs at the Stegadons, because they have to die and I don't really have any other troops to specifically deal with them, while I root the Bastiladon with my remaining gore herds, which came late into the battle, since I was kinda have them wandering around and not being seen too early. Whoa. Kinda was expecting a comet of Casadora there, but I guess the vortex would be bigger if that was the case, would have been the case. Yep. And at this point the beastmen are kinda into rage, so they won't disengage. Well, they did because they flew, but before they wouldn't disengage, which is pretty neat for my Bestigor herds, which were in combat. And if you take a look at it, okay, they're exhausted now, very tired, not even, yeah. But the rest of my troops are kinda fresher. The thing is, they had to run through water and chase some things and were constantly in battle, so yeah, that didn't work too well. And here some Angors chasing the remaining chameleon skinks. With support fire of the Plague Claw catapults. And with that we have the end of the battle. And let's just take a look at the statistics. The Angor Spearmen did do a okayish amount of kills, thinking about that they were mostly fighting Saurus warriors and Blackguard of Nagaron, so that was unexpected to even to have them get some kills. Sadly, Malagor and the Bray Shaman didn't do too much in terms of kills, and most of them mostly in combat. I didn't really find good points where to cast my spells. So yeah, they at least kept my troops fresh. And for the Bestigor, they did a good amount of kills. This one didn't see too much battle. And the Minotaurs were focusing down the bigger creatures, so they did good. Well, this unit of Minotaurs got kind of focused out down by the Chameleon Skinks, but therefore this one had kind of a free could roam free. For the Gore Herd, this one never saw a battle even at once. That was one of the ones which I deployed at the side. This one got a bit of action, while this one was right into the battle and got a good amount of kills against elite units, and as well as the Gore Herd. For my ally, the Gracier didn't get any kills, probably because he was casting mostly and not really fighting that much. And I can imagine that he brought more of support spells than real battle skill spells. I mean, he brought the dreaded 13, so that's a lot of mana. And for the assassins, we have some kills. I'm not sure what they were focusing on, but the assassins can deal a good amount of damage, and I think they were focusing on the heroes at some point, which was a really good job. For the Skaven slaves, they also didn't get too many kills, but again against more elite infantry, mostly Blackguard Corsairus and Blackguard of Nagarand, as well as the Clanrats with shields. I'm personally not really a fan of Clanrats, but that's more of a personal thing. Since their stats are too crappy and they don't have expandable, so if they flee, it usually hits the morale of your more elite troops, which you kinda want to preserve, even as Skavens, while the slaves can run into battle, flee, run into battle, flee, run into battle, flee, and soak up a lot of damage in that process. And hopefully take on a lot of overkill damage. While the Plague Monks also didn't do too many kills, well, this one did a good amount, but the thing is they are kinda outmatched by Black Ark Corsairs, which also have a high armor, which the Plague Monks don't have. So yeah, that's a bit sad. While the Poison Wing Globadiers were mostly firing at units, but got also a good amount of kills, as well as the Plague Claw Catapult. And the Warp Lightning Cannon was mostly focusing down some of the dinos of the Lizardmen, which was a good call, I suppose. And I'm not sure what happened to the Hell Pit, but I can imagine it was focused down by the Chameleon Skinks pretty fast. Also, since the Black Guard of Naggarond is pretty good at holding against even bigger creatures. Yeah. It didn't really have that much of a effective use in this battle, that the enemies were kinda strong. So for the Dark Elf player, Malekith, the Death Hag, and even the Sorceress of Fire, as well as basically the whole front line, got a load amount of kills, mostly because they were fighting against Skaven. Usually when you fight against Skaven you have unbelievably high stacking numbers. And yeah, sadly the Cold One chariots didn't do too well, but they got some kills, and yeah, they mostly survived it even. It also seems like the Death Fire Sorceress had a little bit of health left. Well, for the Lizardman player, the frontline, the Spearman didn't do too many kills, but the Thoros Warriors, at least this one, got a good amount of kills. I mean, they were mostly fighting against Bestigors and my Angors, so yeah, it was kinda expected that they get some kills, but against Bestigors it's not really that effective, since Bestigors have a pretty high armor like the Thoros Warriors, but they also have armor piercing and are a bit more offensive focused, so they break through their defensive skill pretty easily. Yeah. And for the Chameleon Skinks, they got a good amount of kills, especially since they basically shut down Minotaurs. And the Revocation Crystal, I'm pretty happy that I was able to shoot it down before it could do too much harm to my frontline and heal them up too much. These things are a really pain in the arse. And for the Stegadons, they got a good amount of kills, not only in melee but also through their artillery fire, but mostly through their melee thing. Because if they charge through your lines, you really can't do much about it. They have a high mass. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed the battle, and well, have a nice day. Bye.